This is the Unit 2 preview video. Again, we'll just go over the main concepts, my thought process behind planning it, everything like that. I chose Law and Order for this theme because I figured Unit 2, that's appropriate. Law was created during this time and codified, everything like that. Unit 2 is 10 lessons. It's really important. It sets the scholars up to understand the conflicts of future time periods. And it's also the foundational time period for many of the cultures and areas that we'll keep studying over the course of the year. So I'll go ahead and go right into the unit plan. Again, it's a good idea to probably follow along with it if you have it by you. So you'll see again 10 lessons starting around August 28th. Our title is Organization and Reorganization of Human Societies, commonly known as the classical time period. So I started planning this unit with the global context, identities, and relationships so that scholars can start to investigate how one's identity is formed by relationships. Not only the personal ones in your life, such as family and friends, but also your relationship with a God, your government, and even people in your social class and other social classes. Then after that, I chose the key concept of systems, where it kind of fits right into the global context. You can ask scholars often, how do the systems in which we participate forge who we are as people? And over here on the related concepts, we did governance and significance. Again, you can kind of tie this together, like what is the significance of the government under which we live? So I took all these and wrapped them all up in this statement of inquiry, which is our government influences our identities more than we realize. This statement of inquiry is really fun to challenge scholars. I often ask them to reflect upon how they'd be different people if they lived in classical Rome or modern-day Iraq, et cetera, et cetera. They often think that so many of their ideas and thoughts are right and the only way of thinking. This pushes them to realize that many parts of their identities are simply manifestations of the systems under which they live. This can be as small as their school, like how would you be different if you weren't at Uplift, and on up to their religion, the United States government, et cetera. It really is a fun way to push those real-world connections and get your scholars to connect history to who they are, which is so important at this stage in their lives. Go ahead and move on to the questions, the inquiry questions. You can, again, read them on your own, but I wanted to highlight a couple of the conceptual and debatable. We'll do the conceptual first. This one right here, how do developments of existing religions create a bond among people and an ethical code to live by? It's pretty interesting to get them to talk about and realize that religions go beyond this purpose that we so often think of, and that it really creates a bond among the people. And then this last one, what were the essential developments in the creation of the concept of the city-state? This is really important. Not only will it allow scholars to start to categorize information that we learn in class, but it will also allow them to see the consistencies in society throughout history. Spend time on this question a few times over the course of the unit so they can add to their answers as they learn more. The debatable questions next. The 4 debatable questions for this unit are arguably my favorite in the whole year. This question here, let's see. Number 2, what does it mean to be civilized? Is it fair for historians to label some groups as civilizations and others as not so? On the surface level, this might seem like an easy answer, but you can probe students to think about it deeper. If they visited a small tribe in modern-day Africa with no phones, electricity, etc., would they call these people weird or behind the times? Why? Like getting to that discussion of the why really gets scholars to apply these historical facts to modern times, and it will bring scholars to the realization that they make these judgments often in their lives. The 3rd and 4th debatable questions also ask scholars to think of such issues as separation of church and state and the concept of just war. It's interesting to hear what they think about these concepts, and really fun when they realize that humanity has been struggling with these for millennia. It's not a new problem. And then our first question gets to the heart of the statement of inquiry, and in my opinion, gets to the heart of the huge reason why we study history. How does the government system under which one lives form one's identity? In this unit, my scholars often start to bring up concepts of fairness and injustice. For example, when they hear about the Spartan kids being forced to train at the age of 6, they often say this isn't fair, or that their parents would never just give them up to the government. These times are the ideal moments to bring up this debatable question. like Spartan parents didn't have a choice. It was considered normal to them, things like that. So visit these often, and they're really, really fun for scholars to think about and debate as they continue to learn more throughout the unit. Okay, moving on to the knowledge and skills portion of the unit plan. Again, look through the TEKS and content knowledge at a later time on your own. There's a lot of things in there, but I did want to highlight some of the specific skills that we should focus on during this unit. Changes in continuities tend to be really difficult for scholars, so it's beneficial to let them start thinking of these early in the year when their content knowledge is still somewhat limited. So when you go over India, ask them what changed since the Indus River Valley, and what stayed the same, do the same with China, etc. Kind of building these building blocks for them to be able to do changes and continuities over the course of the whole year. The reading like historian readings really get to the heart of comparing perspectives, which is another big skill. Utilize these often and as frequently as possible to provide scholars with those multiple perspectives that they can analyze and interpret to start to really see that history should not only come from one side. And just a little reminder of where those reading like historian readings are. If you look on Blackboard, this is our page, go to content resources, and they're right up here in the content-based resources where you can search by unit or topic. Okay, interdisciplinary connections is the next kind of big stage I wanted to highlight in this unit. These are not only interesting, but will save you time and help your scholars if you really foster these interdisciplinary connections with your art teacher especially. If you talk to your art teacher and see if he or she has a specific way to approach the art that they view in class, like she might have a system that every time a scholar sees a piece of art, he needs to do, X, Y, Z. You can use that same language or same system. It'll help your scholars analyze art better and save you time from teaching a whole different strategy. The same applies for writing and English. I also would share the statement of inquiry with both of these teachers as well. They really could apply to most subjects. The English teacher can have scholars explore how the systems under which the author lived affected his or her writing, and same for the art teacher for the artist. The more scholars are asked to make this connection, the better. It helps with all aspects of OPCVL also. If scholars know the origin of a piece, they can better understand the purpose, content, value, and limitations. This works for primary sources in art class, but will also work for art, literature, etc. Okay, the assessment for this unit, I do an essay, which is down here, with a normal multiple choice test, but before that, I have scholars engage in a Socratic seminar, just about classical civilizations. The use of reading from Karen Armstrong, it is on Blackboard under content resources. So the rubrics will then assess if scholars are prepared factually for the discussion and how they use those facts to create an argument. Big component of that argument is that they need to have it both written and verbal. Since this is the first Socratic seminar of the year, I'd be sure to share expectations and rubrics with the scholars before that day. You also may want to have benchmarks for them to turn in the research questions, key points, etc. You can look them over and give them feedback to ensure that all scholars understand what a good question would look like, so that this discussion is really valuable for everyone. I also have my kids watch a sample Socratic seminar on YouTube so that they know what this should actually look like. This year I'm actually going to give them the rubric and have them choose a student in the video that they'll grade using that rubric. I'm hoping this active practice will help them better internalize the language of the rubric. I inserted the possible reflection questions this year because I did notice that if I did not give them some guidance on this reflection, I got a lot of surface level responses. And those are right here, those possible reflection questions. In addition to the Socratic seminar, again, scholars will have that typical AP essay for AP teachers. MYP teachers, if you want to use the test on Blackboard, the non-AP test, feel free to use that. Okay, the ATLs for this unit, I did critical thinking skills and communication skills. These really push critical thinking so that any time possible you kind of come back to that. Since Unit 1 was so short, this unit is the first time that scholars really get to play historian and analyze what we're learning about. A big thing about the communication is the other religions that come up in this unit. Communicating about other religions can be difficult, so I would continuously ask scholars to use mature and academic language when discussing these and other controversial issues that you'll kind of start to discuss in this unit. Okay, and then the learning experiences. I intentionally tried to vary the learning experiences over the course of this unit to allow for the critical thinking from the ATLs, but through different mediums, so have them communicate it in multiple mediums. Once you read this over, if you have any questions about any of the details, what they mean, just reach out to me. The rest of the unit plan you can pretty much read over on your own. I again noted where AMLs and guided readings are provided so that you can make sure to use those resources if you'd like. Be sure not to get bogged down in the content of this unit. It's really hard to lose your pacing when it comes to this unit and beyond. Especially if you're an AP teacher, scholars can choose not to write on this time period on the actual AP exam. So just plugging along and sticking to the scope is probably beneficial. It's a super easy unit to get excited about, and scholars are getting excited about it, but just remember that we have the whole rest of the year to keep coming back to these civilizations also. And that is all I have for you today. There's a little quote from Confucius that I like. As always, call, text, email with any questions. If anything is unclear or if you just want further details on anything, I am here. Good luck and have fun with this unit. It's definitely one of my favorites.